The distress call. The vast silence of uncharted space enveloped the celestial Voyager as it glided through the starlit void. Captain Xylar Neath stood on the command deck, her large, iridescent eyes reflecting the holographic star map projected before her. Like all Nilarians, she possessed a slender, almost fragile frame, the natural result of evolving on a low-gravity world where physical strength had never been necessary for survival. "All systems functioning at optimal efficiency, Captain," reported First Officer Talus, his delicate six-fingered hands moving gracefully across the control panel. "We should reach the anomaly within 4 standard cycles." Xylar nodded, her translucent skin rippling with subtle blue bioluminescence, a sign of contentment among her kind. The celestial Voyager represented the pride of the Nilarian Astronomical Society, a purely scientific vessel designed to study the mysterious radiation signatures that had drawn them to this remote sector of space. The Nilarians had evolved as a peaceful, intellectual species. Their homeworld, Nilar Prime, had never known the evolutionary pressures of apex predators or harsh environmental extremes. Their technological advancement had come through cooperation and scientific curiosity, rather than competition or conflict. In the 3 centuries since they had achieved interstellar travel, they had encountered a dozen other spacefaring civilizations, most with similar evolutionary backgrounds. "Captain," called sensor technician Quill from her station, her voice carrying the melodic trill characteristic of Nilarians when concerned. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures at coordinates 38 to 5427. Xylar turned. "Source?" "Unknown, Captain. The patterns don't match any vessel configurations in our database." The captain's skin pulsed a cautious yellow. "Put it on the main display." The holographic projection shifted to show 3 angular vessels moving in a disciplined formation. Their design was aggressive, all sharp angles and protruding weapon arrays with no visible scientific equipment. The vessels' hulls were a matte black that seemed to absorb rather than reflect the distant starlight. "They've changed course," Talus observed, his skin fading to a pale gray. "They're heading directly for us." Xylar felt a flutter of anxiety ripple through her thoracic cavity. The celestial Voyager carried minimal defensive systems, enough to deflect small meteoroids but nothing designed for combat. "Open communications," she ordered. "Standard greeting protocols." Communications Officer Elith attempted to establish contact, her fingers trembling slightly as she worked. Before she could complete the sequence, the ship's sensors emitted a high-pitched warning. "Energy surge detected," Quill cried out. "They're charging weapon systems." "Evasive maneuvers," Xylar commanded, though she knew their research vessel had limited capabilities for sudden course changes. The first impact came, seconds later, a precision strike that targeted their propulsion systems. The celestial Voyager shuddered violently, throwing several crew members from their stations. The lights flickered, dimmed, and then stabilized as backup systems engaged. "Propulsion systems damaged," reported the engineering officer. "Operating at 23% capacity." "Shields?" Xylar asked. 40% and failing." The main view screen suddenly activated, displaying a harsh, reptilian face. The creature's scales were arranged in complex patterns of deep crimson and obsidian. Its vertical pupils narrowed as it regarded the Nilarian crew. "I am Commander Vrex of the Kreznar Acquisition Force," the creature announced, its translator converting a series of guttural clicks and hisses into the standard galactic language. "Your vessel has been selected for salvage. Your technology will serve the Kreznar Dominion, and your crew will be processed according to their usefulness." Xylar stepped forward, struggling to maintain composure. "This is a scientific research vessel of the Nilarian Astronomical Society. We carry nothing of military or significant commercial value. Please cease your aggression, we can negotiate." The Kreznar commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Negotiate? With Nilarians? Your species is known throughout the sector for its weakness. You evolved without predators. We evolved as predators. The natural order is about to assert itself." The transmission cut abruptly. Seconds later, another blast rocked the ship, more powerful than the first. Direct hit to our main power distribution node, the engineering officer reported, her voice tight with fear. We've lost 70% of our systems. They're launching boarding craft, Talus added, his skin now almost completely white with terror. Xylar made her decision. Aelith, send a distress call, maximum range, all frequencies. But Captain, we're far beyond the established trade routes. The nearest Nilarian outpost is at least 6 cycles away. Send it anyway, to anyone who might hear. As Aelith worked to prepare the distress signal, Xylar activated the ship-wide communication system. All personnel, this is Captain Neith. We are under attack by Kreznar forces. All non-essential crew proceed to emergency shelters. Security personnel to defensive positions. The latter command was almost meaningless. Their security personnel consisted of 10 lightly armed individuals whose primary training was in protocol and safety procedures. Distress signal ready, Captain, Aelith announced. Send it. Aelith's fingers entered the final sequence. In her haste and fear, she failed to notice a critical error in the transmission coordinates. Instead of directing the signal toward the nearest aligned territories, it shot off in almost the opposite direction, toward a region marked in their navigational database as Autonomous Territorial Zone. Limited data available. Message sent, she reported. The distress call raced through space at faster-than-light speeds, carrying a simple message. 27. Boarding in progress. Any assistance greatly appreciated. Please hurry. The signal passed through empty systems, beyond the normal patrol routes of Nilarian allies. It continued outward, eventually reaching the edge of a zone most spacefaring races deliberately avoided, a region containing a yellow star with a third planet classified in the Galactic Registry only as extreme environmental variants. Indigenous intelligent species. Caution advised. On the Celestial Voyager, the first explosion signaled the Kreznar cutting through the outer hull. Security alerts blared from every deck. They've breached level 3, Talus whispered. Xylar stood tall, though fear made her legs weak. Lock down the bridge. We must protect our people as long as possible, and hope that someone hears our call. Little did she know that their signal was already being received by a species unlike any the Nilarians had ever encountered, a species that had evolved on a world of predators, natural disasters, and constant competition. A species whose response would forever change the Nilarians' understanding of the word dangerous. Admiral Elena Reyes stood with her hands clasped, behind her back, staring at the vast emptiness of space through the reinforced viewport of the UES Intrepid. At 6 feet tall with broad shoulders and obsidian black hair pulled back in a regulation bun, she cut an imposing figure in her United Earth-Navy uniform. 25 years of military service had left her with fine lines around her eyes and a reputation for making decisive calls in impossible situations. Admiral, called Lieutenant Commander Park from the communications station. We're picking up an unusual signal. Reyes turned, one eyebrow raised. Border Patrol Sector 9 was typically quiet. The edge of human space rarely saw much activity beyond the occasional merchant vessel or automated probe. Source? Unknown, sir. It's not on any human frequency and it doesn't match any alliance signatures in our database. Put it through, Reyes ordered. The bridge speakers crackled to life. The message wasn't in any human language, but the ship's advanced translation system processed the alien words. Nilarian research vessel Celestial Voyager under attack by Kreznar forces at coordinates 385427. Boarding in progress. Any assistance greatly appreciated. Please hurry. The bridge fell silent. First contact with not one but 2 alien species wasn't something anyone had expected during a routine patrol. Nilarian? Kreznar? Reyes asked. Do we have any information on either species? Commander Ashton, the ship's executive officer, quickly pulled up data on his tablet. Very limited, Admiral. Our xenobiology database has preliminary entries based on long-range observations. Nilarians are classified as a peaceful spacefaring race from a low-gravity world, evolved without significant predatory pressure. He swiped to another entry. The Kreznar are flagged as a potentially hostile species with predatory evolutionary background, known for territorial aggression. Reyes nodded. And the coordinates? About 2 hours away at maximum FTL, sir, reported the WIO navigation officer. Outside our normal patrol route, but well within operational range. Reyes didn't hesitate. In the century since humans had reached the stars, they had built a complex reputation, sometimes viewed as reckless, often unpredictable, but increasingly respected for one consistent trait. Humans answered calls for help. Set course for those coordinates, maximum speed, she ordered. Alert the rest of the battle group. We're responding to this distress call. Sir, Ashton said quietly, stepping closer to the Admiral. Protocol suggests we should consult with Fleet Command before engaging with unknown alien species. Reyes gave him a level look. Someone out there is in trouble, Commander. By the time we get approval from Command, it'll be too late. She turned to address the bridge crew. This is what we do. This is why we're out here. Around the Intrepid, 4 other warships adjusted their course, the heavy cruiser Defiant, and the frigates Swift, Valiant, and Resolute. Together they formed Battle Group Epsilon, one of humanity's rapid response units patrolling the borders of human space. Reyes pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is Admiral Reyes. We've received a distress call from an alien vessel under attack by hostile forces. We are changing course to respond. This will be a combat situation involving first contact with at least one new species. All departments prepare accordingly. That is all. Throughout the massive warship, over 700 crew members sprang into action. In the armory, Marine squads checked their gear and loaded weapons. In medical, doctors prepared for possible alien casualties. In engineering, technicians ran diagnostics on shields and weapon systems. Major Dante Chen stood in the center of the Marine staging area, watching his platoon prepare. At 5'10", with a muscular build and intense eyes, he commanded respect from the 40 soldiers under his command. Listen up, he called, and the busy room fell silent. We're responding to an alien distress call. We don't know what these Nilarians look like or what condition they'll be in. We also don't know much about the hostiles, these Kreznar forces, except that they're boarding the Nilarian ship. He paced in front of his platoon, making eye contact with each Marine. That means we need to be ready for anything. Full combat exoskeletons, standard loadouts, and remember your first contact training. We might be rescuing people who've never seen a human before. Sergeant Rodriguez raised her hand. What about environmental concerns, Major? Different atmosphere, gravity, that kind of thing. Good question. Suit up with full environmental seals, Chen replied. We'll deploy with helmets on. The ship AI has analyzed the limited xenobiology data we have on the Nilarians. Low-gravity homeworld. Atmosphere similar to Earth, but higher oxygen content. Plan for potentially injured civilians who may not tolerate our atmosphere. The Marines nodded, resuming their preparations with practiced efficiency. Unlike most spacefaring species, humans had evolved on a high-gravity world filled with predators and environmental hazards. Their bodies were built for endurance and strength, adaptations that made them surprisingly tough by galactic standards. Back on the bridge, Reyes studied the tactical display. Any update on those coordinates? We'll arrive in 1 hour and 53 minutes at current speed, sir, replied the navigation officer. And what do we know about that region of space? Reyes asked. Ashton consulted his tablet again. It's outside any claimed territory, sir. No major settlements or stations nearby. The closest outpost is a mining operation about 16 hours travel from the distress signal location. Reyes nodded. So whatever's happening out there, they're on their own unless we show up. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Park interrupted. I've been analyzing the distress signal. Based on transmission patterns, I believe it wasn't intentionally directed toward us. It appears to be a broadcast that happened to reach our sensors. Meaning they don't even know we're coming, Reyes said quietly. No, sir, and based on the timestamp, the message is already over 40 minutes old. The Admiral's expression hardened. Push the engines harder. I want us there in 90 minutes. The engineers won't like that, sir, Ashton cautioned. They'll like it less if we arrive too late to help, Reyes replied. As the human battle group accelerated to dangerous, Speeds, the ship's AI began compiling all available information on both Nilarians and Kreznar. The results were limited. Humans had explored only a small portion of the galaxy, but enough to develop preliminary combat and rescue strategies. In the medical bay, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Lakshmi Patel reviewed the Nilarian biological data. Bipedal, oxygen-breathing, carbon-based, she muttered to her medical team. Similar enough that our emergency treatments should work, but we'll need to adjust medication dosages for their higher metabolism and lower body mass. Throughout the ship, preparations continued with methodical precision. The humans had no treaty, obligations to the Nilarians, no political reasons to intervene. They were responding for the simplest of reasons. Someone had asked for help. As the Intrepid pushed its massive engines beyond recommended limits, Admiral Reyes watched the countdown, timer on the main display, 90 minutes until they reached the coordinates. 90 minutes that might make all the difference for the aliens who had accidentally sent their distress call to a species that most galactic civilizations categorized with a simple warning. Evolved on extreme condition world. Approach with caution. Let's hope we're not too late, she said to no one in particular, her eyes fixed on the timer as it counted down the minutes until humanity's newest first contact. Humanity's response on the celestial Voyager. Captain Zylar Neath and her remaining bridge crew had barricaded themselves behind hastily erected barriers. The reinforced bridge doors shuddered under heavy impacts as the Kreznar boarding party attempted to break through. How many crew members made it to the escape pods? Zylar asked, her voice barely steady. First Officer Talus checked his data tablet. 23 confirmed launches. That's about 40% of our people. Zylar nodded, taking small comfort in knowing some of her crew might survive. The remaining members were either trapped in sections overrun by the Kreznar or had chosen to stay and fight, a hopeless gesture for the peace-loving Nilarians. Another powerful blow rocked the reinforced doors. Metal groaned under the strain. They'll be through in minutes, Communications Officer Ilith whispered, clutching a simple stun device that looked woefully inadequate. Has anyone responded to our distress call? Zylar asked, though she knew the answer. Their signal had been sent nearly 2 hours ago. Ilith shook her head. No response, but our communication systems are heavily damaged. We might not be able to receive incoming messages. The pounding stopped suddenly. In the silence that followed, the Nilarians exchanged nervous glances. What are they? Talus began, but was cut off by a new sound, a high-pitched whine of energy, building up. They're using a plasma cutter, the engineering officer shouted. Everyone get back. The Nilarians scrambled away from the door just as a bright orange line began to appear along its edge. The Kreznar were cutting their way in. It's been an honor serving with all of you, Zylar said, standing tall despite her fear. If these were to be her final moments, she would face them with dignity. 2 light years away, the human battle group dropped out of FTL in a flash of distorted space. Sensors full sweep, Admiral Reyes ordered the moment the Intrepid stabilized. Find me that Nilarian ship. The sensor officer worked quickly. Contact. 3 unknown ships surrounding a damaged vessel at coordinates 043 by 217. On screen, the main display lit up with the scene. A sleek, pale blue ship clearly damaged, surrounded by 3 black angular vessels. Small craft moved between them, boarding shuttles. Life signs? Reyes asked. Numerous readings from all ships, sir. At least 2 distinct species based on biosignatures. Reyes didn't waste time. Tactical? Target the hostile vessel's engines. And weapon systems. Communications broadcast on all frequencies. Standard first contact package followed by a demand for the attackers to stand down. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Within seconds, the Intrepid's message broadcast across space, a series of mathematical sequences establishing basic communication, followed by a simple message translated into over 30 known alien languages. Attention unknown vessels. This is Admiral Reyes of the United Earth Defense Fleet. We are responding to a distress call from the ship you are currently attacking. Cease hostilities immediately and withdraw your boarding parties. You have 30 seconds to comply. On the Bridge of the lead Kreznar ship, Commander Vrex stared at his communication screen in confusion. Where did these ships come from? He snarled at his crew. Identify them. His tactical officer worked frantically. Unknown configuration, Commander. They don't match any known species in our database, but their weapon systems. The officer paused, eyes widening. They're military-grade heavy armaments, Vrex hissed in frustration. The Nilarian research vessel had been an easy target. These new arrivals were clearly something else entirely. Still, he had his reputation to consider. They're bluffing, he decided. No one intervenes for Nilarians. Prepare to fire on the lead ship. Show them who they're dealing with. Back on the Intrepid, the 30-second window closed. No response. Sir, reported the communications officer. Wait, they're charging weapons. Reyes nodded grimly. They've made their choice. All ships execute Battle Plan Delta. Cruisers target the lead vessel. Frigates take the flankers. Minimal force. Disable. Don't destroy. The human battle group split apart with practiced precision, moving faster than the Kreznar ships could track. Before Vrex could give the order to fire, the Intrepid and Defiant launched a synchronized barrage that struck his ship's main weapon emplacements with surgical accuracy. The Kreznar vessel rocked violently. Alarms blared across its bridge. Weapons. Offline, shouted Vrex's tactical officer. Shield generators damaged. How did they target so precisely? Before Vrex could respond, more impacts shook his ship. The human vessels moved with unexpected agility, their targeting systems finding vulnerabilities the Kreznar had thought well protected. On the flanking Kreznar ships, the situation was no better. The human frigates, swift, valiant, and resolute, danced around them, their smaller size belying their deadly precision. Within minutes, both supporting pirate vessels had lost propulsion and weapons capability. Inside the Celestial Voyager, the Kreznar boarding parties suddenly stopped their assault on the bridge. Their communication devices buzzed with frantic orders from their motherships. Commander, one Kreznar soldier reported, unknown warships have engaged our fleet. We're ordered to return immediately. On the bridge, Captain Xylar and her crew listened as the pounding and cutting stopped. Through the viewport they watched in amazement as the Kreznar boarding shuttles hastily detached from their hull and raced back toward their motherships. What's happening? Talus asked, hardly daring to hope. Elith, still at her damaged communication console, let out a sound of disbelief. Someone answered our call. On her screen, a grainy image showed the incredible scene outside. The 3 Kreznar ships, now damaged and drifting, surrounded by 5 unknown vessels of sleek, powerful design. Who are they? Xylar whispered, moving closer to the screen. I don't know, Elith admitted. Their communication protocols don't match anything in our database. A new transmission cut through the static on their receiver. A message in a language their translators struggled to process before finally converting it to standard Galactic. Nilarian vessel. This is Admiral Elena Reyes of the United Earth Defense Fleet. We've neutralized the immediate threat to your ship. Are you receiving this transmission? What is your status? The Nilarians stared at each other in shock. United Earth Defense Fleet? Earth was barely a footnote in their astronomical records, a distant planet in an unremarkable system, known only for its extreme environmental conditions and the curious bipedal species that had evolved there. Respond, Xylar ordered, finding her voice at last. Tell them we're alive and grateful. Major Chen led his Marine platoon through the docking tube that now connected the Intrepid to the Celestial Voyager. Each soldier moved with practiced precision, their powered exoskeletons giving them enhanced strength and protection. Their helmets provided a complete environmental seal, just in case the Nilarian atmosphere proved problematic. Remember, Chen said over the tactical channel, this is a rescue operation, not an assault. These people have never seen humans before. Let's try not to terrify them more than they've already been terrified today. The Marines acknowledged with brief comm clicks as they approached the outer airlock. Sensor readings indicated no Kreznar life signs remained aboard. They had retreated to their ships when the human battle group arrived. But Chen wasn't taking chances. Engineering team. What's our assessment of this vessel's structural integrity? Lieutenant Santos, leading the team of combat engineers, responded promptly. Multiple hull breaches on decks 2 through 5, Major. Life support is functioning but strained. Power systems at approximately 30% capacity. She's hurt bad, but she'll hold together long enough for evacuation. Chen nodded within his helmet. Understood. Breach teams prepare to enter, medical team on standby. The airlock cycled, and the first squad moved into the Nilarian ship. Chen followed with the second squad, his weapon at the ready position though, not aimed directly forward. The corridors they entered were elegant, curved walls with softly glowing blue light panels and control interfaces that seemed designed for beings with multiple slender fingers. Contact, reported Sergeant Rodriguez from the point position. I think they're the Nilarians. Multiple individuals, unarmed, approximately 30 meters ahead. Chen moved forward to see for himself. Through his visor, he observed a group of slender, fragile-looking beings. They stood about 5 feet tall with delicate limbs and large, iridescent eyes. Their skin seemed almost translucent, with subtle patterns of bioluminescence pulsing beneath the surface. They huddled together at the far end of the corridor, clearly terrified. Hold position, Chen ordered his Marines. He took a deliberate step forward, then slowly lowered his weapon and raised his free hand in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. I am Major Dante Chen of the United Earth Defense Fleet, he said, his helmet speakers projecting his voice at a carefully modulated volume. We received your distress call and have come to help. Are any of you injured? The Nilarians stared at him, their skin pulsing with rapid color changes, from pale white to vibrant blue and back again. One of them, wearing what appeared to be a uniform with additional markings, stepped hesitantly forward. You are from Earth? The alien asked, the words translated through Chen's helmet systems. Yes, Chen confirmed. We're humans. We picked up your distress signal about 2 hours ago. The Nilarian's large eyes blinked rapidly. But Earth is a death world. How did you... Chen suppressed a smile. He'd heard the term before. Other species occasionally referred to Earth as a death world due to its relatively high gravity, extreme weather patterns, and evolutionary history of predator-prey dynamics. We get around, he said simply. Now, please, are any of your people injured? We have medical personnel standing by. The lead Nilarian seemed to recover from their shock. Yes, many injured, some critically. Our medical facilities were damaged in the initial attack. Chen nodded and signaled to his team. Dr. Patel, bring your team forward. We have wounded requiring immediate attention. As the human medical team moved up, Chen continued his conversation with the Nilarian. And you are? I am Lieutenant Veery, ship's security officer. The alien's skin flushed a deeper blue. Though I fear I have failed in my duties today. Chen shook his head. You survived an attack by a technologically superior hostile force long enough for help to arrive. I'd call that a success, Lieutenant Veery. Admiral Reyes stood in the conference room of the Intrepid, facing Captain Zylar Neath across the table. The Nilarian captain had initially been hesitant to leave her damaged vessel, but with most critical systems failing, she had finally agreed to come aboard the human ship for direct discussions. 112 of your crew members have been safely evacuated to our medical facilities, Reyes reported. Our engineers believe your ship can be repaired, but it will take time. The damage to the propulsion systems is extensive. Zylar's skin pulsed with a gentle blue glow that Reyes had come to understand indicated gratitude. Without your intervention, Admiral, none of us would have survived. The Kreznar are known for leaving no witnesses to their attacks. Reyes nodded. What will you do now, Captain? Our fleet can escort you to the nearest Nilarian outpost once your ship is minimally repaired. That would be most appreciated. Zylar hesitated, then continued. If I may ask, Admiral, why did you respond to our call? Earth is far beyond our normal exploration routes. We had no formal contact with your species before today. You had no obligation to help us. Reyes considered the question carefully. It was one that humans had been asked by various alien species since they had first ventured into the stars. "Where I come from, Captain Neith, when someone calls for help, you answer. It doesn't matter who they are or whether you know them. That's just what you do." Zylar tilted her head slightly. A gesture Reyes had learned indicated curiosity. "Even at great risk to yourselves? The Kreznar are dangerous predators. They could have damaged your vessels, killed your crew." "They could have," Reyes acknowledged, "but they didn't. Our ships are built for combat, Captain. Yours aren't. Where you come from, perhaps that seems strange, to build warships when there is no war. But humans evolved in an environment that taught us to prepare for threats before they materialize. Your people call Earth a death world," Reyes continued. "And by your standards, I suppose it is. High gravity, extreme weather patterns, seasons that can kill the unprepared predators that once hunted our ancestors. But to us, it's just home. And it taught us something important. Those who can fight sometimes must fight for those who cannot." Zylar was silent for a long moment, her skin shifting through several colors as she processed this information. "The Galactic Council has long debated whether to establish formal contact with Earth," she finally said. "Many believed your species too aggressive, too unpredictable. They feared what might happen if humans expanded further into the galaxy." Her skin suddenly glowed with a warm amber hue. "I believe I shall advocate for a reconsideration of that position when next I address the Council." Reyes smiled. "We'd welcome the conversation, Captain." Commander Ashton entered the conference room, tablet in hand. "Admiral, we've finished our analysis of the Kreznar vessels. They've been completely disarmed and their propulsion systems limited to sublight speeds. We're preparing to release them with a warning." "A warning?" Zylar asked, her skin paling slightly. "You're letting them go?" "With a tracking beacon attached to each ship," Reyes explained. "And yes, with a warning. That Earth has now established a presence in this sector, and that preying on peaceful vessels will no longer be tolerated." Zylar's large eyes blinked rapidly. "You speak as though you intend to remain in this region of space." "We do," Reyes confirmed. "This incident has made it clear that there's a need for a stabilizing presence here. The United Earth Council has been looking to establish a forward operating base beyond our current borders. This sector seems as good a place as any." "I see," Zylar said, her skin now pulsing with multiple colors, a sign Reyes had learned of complex emotions. "And if the Kreznar return with reinforcements?" Admiral Reyes's expression hardened slightly. "Then they'll learn another lesson about humans, Captain. We don't just answer calls for help. We remember those who make the calls necessary in the first place." 6 months later, the newly established Earth outpost Sentinel hung in space at the coordinates where the celestial Voyager had nearly met its end. The former border of human space had expanded by several light years, and traffic through the sector had increased dramatically. In the observation lounge of the station, Ambassador Zylar Neith, formerly Captain Neith, now the first Nilarian, diplomatic representative to Earth, stood beside Admiral Reyes watching as a joint human-Nilarian research vessel departed on its maiden voyage. "The collaborative endeavor," Zylar mused, her skin glowing with pleased blue tones. "A fitting name, wouldn't you say, Admiral?" "Very fitting," Reyes agreed. "Your scientists bring expertise in astronomy and xenobiology that complements our engineering and defensive capabilities." "And the Kreznar?" Zylar asked, though she already knew the answer. "Haven't been seen in this sector since our first encounter," Reyes said with a slight smile. "Apparently they've found other hunting grounds, far away from both Nilarian and human space." Zylar's skin rippled with amusement. "The Galactic Council is still adjusting to humanity's rapid expansion. Some members remain concerned." "And you? Are you concerned, Ambassador?" Zylar turned her large iridescent eyes toward the human. "I was once, before I understood what it means to come from a death world. I thought it meant your people would be aggressive, dangerous." She gestured toward the departed research vessel. "Now I understand it means your people are survivors, adaptable, and willing to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. There are worse reputations to have in the galaxy, Reyes observed. Indeed. Xylar's skin glowed with a warm golden light. And for species like mine, who evolved without predators or extreme environments to challenge us, perhaps there are worse allies to have than the Deathworlders who answered our call. Outside the viewport, the collaborative endeavor engaged its FTL drive, disappearing in a flash of light as it began its journey to explore the unknown. Humans and Nilarians together, each bringing their unique evolutionary heritage to face whatever challenges awaited them among the stars. The universe, vast and often hostile, had become just a little safer with humanity's arrival. And when the next distress call echoed through the void, the Deathworlders would answer again.